Hello everyone, let's start our today's discussion. I hope you all remember that in our previous class we discussed question number 1 of this official mock exam issued by ACCA for June 2025 exam attempt for Advanced Audit and Assurance Level exam. I'm your tutor Owais Mirchawala, and in our today's class we will be looking at question number 2 of this official mock exam. I hope that you guys have understood the importance of these past paper discussion sessions in the previous class when we discussed this complete question number 1. Now we will be moving forward. In our today's class, we will be looking at question number 2. Our approach will remain the same. We'll first look at the introduction, exhibits, and the requirement. And then we will be actually drafting the complete answer in our today's class. In this series of discussion of complete exam papers, we have been discussing 10 complete attempt exam papers, and these are really important in finalization phase of exam preparation because this gives you an idea that when you go for your actual examination, how you have to deal with all of the topics together and how you have to deal with the time management skill also. Once we are done with these past paper discussion sessions, then I will be giving you guys 3 mock exams which you have to try on your own and send me for personalized feedback and marking. Okay, so now let's start with the discussion of question number 2. Now, I have already discussed this question number 2 in my mock exam discussion of June 24 exam attempt. It's the same question which ACC has included in this June 25 mock exam. So now I will be connecting this class with my that session in which I have discussed this same question, Carrot and Company. Okay, so don't get confused. There will be a slight change in my appearance because I'll be connecting with that class, but it's the same question, Carrot and Company. It's the same question which ECC has provided in June 25 mock, which was already discussed in the June 24 mock also, which I've already discussed. So I'm now just connecting my class with that one, and we'll be discussing this same question, Carrot and Company, in that. Okay, so let's start with the detailed discussion. Your patience and concentration will be really important throughout the class. Okay, so let's start with it. Start with it. It is 1st July 2005, and you are a manager in the quality management department of Carrot and Company, a medium-sized firm of chartered certified accountants offering a range of audit and related services to its clients. You have been asked to evaluate matters relating to audit quality and the firm's system of quality management with reference to the audit of Pumpkin Group, a listed group. The following exhibit available on the left hand side of the screen provides information relevant to the question. See, this is just an introduction screen of the question. The examiner is introducing us with the scenario that we work in a firm called as Carrot and Company. The client is Pumpkin Group, and we are here to evaluate the quality issues. Exhibit 1 is email from audit assistant, matters noted for your attention by an anonymous whistleblower working on the audit of the Pumpkin Group. The information should be used to answer the question requirement within the response option provided, which is a word processor document. When we'll be drafting the complete answer, you will also get an idea that how you have to use this response option, like how you have to use the different functions available on the word processor document. Okay, let's look at exhibit number 1, which is an email from audit assistant. I want you all to listen to me carefully. Okay, now to quality management team, Carrot and Company, from an auditor at the rate anonymous.com. Date 1st July 20x5. Subject issues on recent audits in the Pumpkin Group. Hello. I wish to bring to your attention some issues that I have experienced while working on the audit of the Pumpkin Group. As part of the large audit team, I don't feel that group audit partner Kinga Edward is approachable on the matters, and furthermore, some of the issues relate to her behavior during the audit. For your information, Pumpkin Group is a listed manufacturer with multiple subsidiaries. So basically, he's addressing certain quality issues which were found during the audit activity, And those issues include that the audit partner was not approachable during the audit activity, which is obviously not the correct thing. You've already studied the quality control chapter and the two standards ISQM1 and ISQM2 relating to these. Okay? The leadership and the governance of the firm has to demonstrate a behavior that create a positive impact on the audit team. And if the audit partner himself is not approachable, that's not creating a good impact. Let's read further. Turnip Company. Turnip Company was a newly acquired subsidiary during the year and operates as a specialist jewelry manufacturer using precious metals and expensive gemstones. The audit team have been using the standardized audit test from an outside service provider, which are not customized for any area of Turnip Company audit, including the high value inventory of precious material and gemstones. See, what you need to understand is that audit firms can use these standardized audit softwares, okay, like the standardized audit test they are using, but they need to be customized to the client requirement. I'll repeat it again. Audit firms can use these off the shelf, these ready made softwares, ready made audit tests, those can be used. But they need to be adapted to the client requirement, like which are not customized to any area of Turnip Company audit. That's not a good thing. During the audit team briefing at the planning stage, the group engagement partner Kinga Edwards stated that the valuation of inventory was to be treated as low risk across all subsidiaries, consistent with the assessment made in the prior years. See, you cannot rely on the assessment of the prior year only. You have to look at the circumstances of current year also. That's not a good thing. He just relied on the prior year thing. And secondly, Turnip Company was a newly acquired subsidiary, so there was no prior year like thing in its audit. This included the inventory of Turnip Company, and that there was no need to authorize the expenses of using a jewelry valuation expert. That was also not good, that wherever required, the expert should be engaged, because obviously the auditor himself cannot perform the valuation of the jewelry. Kinga Edwards stated that she had been the auditor of Pumpkin Group for 10 years and had full confidence in risk assessment across the group. This is also a concern. How a same engagement partner can do audit for 10 years? The maximum permitted time limit is 7 years. It's a listed entity. How he has been doing audit for 10 years? What about the firm's client acceptance procedures? Aren't the ethical requirements working properly? How same partner can do audit for 10 years? During the initial audit team briefing, Kinga Edwards stated that she would be too busy to respond to audit queries, that anyone with access to an internet search engine should be able to answer. Since the audit briefing, no one on the audit team was able to contact the group audit engagement partner. That's really bad. Like relying on the audit based on internet search engines and the partner not getting accessible, that's obviously a quality issue. Like I can identify many of the ethical issues by reading these paragraphs. Yam Company. During my work on Yam Company, another of the Pumpkin Group subsidiary companies, the group engagement partner informed the team that due to time pressure on the audit, they would review the audit working part papers on each team member's individual computers. This means that the consolidated working paper file will not be made. And time pressure is an intimidation threat. Why the time pressure is being created? Wasn't the deadline accepted by a proper evaluation? Didn't we consider the deadline properly? Okay. How can we compromise the audit quality? Following completion of the audit senior who had worked on the audit of Yam Company left Keratin Company and failed to hand in their laptop computer before leaving. No backups of the audit working paper were made during the fieldwork owing to internet connection issues at Yam Company premises. Remote access to employee's laptop is disabled as soon as the employee leaves. Like, what type of audit is going on? Audit senior left, the data was not transferred, there were no regular backups. Like, what is this going on? Like, there is no quality management in the firm. Like, the data being stored in personal devices of the employees. They take their devices with them, like, failed to hand in their laptop computer before leaving. How is it possible? There were no backup. So, obviously, there are multiple quality issues which exist. Engagement quality review. The engagement quality reviewer, Eddie Onion, was appointed after the completion of all audit fieldwork and is relatively a new audit partner. They had previously only worked on charity audits. However, Kinga Edwards said Eddie was the ideal candidate for the role of EQR as she had attended audit committee meetings of the Pumpkin Group over the past years. Again, see, the person who is becoming an engagement quality reviewer should have the relevant experience of the industry, should be a senior person, such that he do not come under the influence of the engagement partner. Here, Kinga Edward is a more senior guy, and this quality partner is just a new guy, okay? And he has just done the audits of the charity in the past. And attending the audit committee meetings of Pumpkin Group, that's not good. This means he is not independent of the client. The quality control partner shouldn't be connected with the client in the past. If he's getting connected, if he is sit in the audit committee, then he must have got remuneration of sitting in the audit committee. And if he's getting remuneration of sitting in the audit committee, this means that he's not independent of the Pumpkin Group. How can he become the quality control partner? Thank you for taking time to read this email and considering my concerns. Sincerely, Anonymous Auditor. I believe that this question is easy one because there are multiple quality issues. Now let's look at each of the requirement. Part A. Discuss objectives of an audit firm's system of quality management and how ISQM1 will help to achieve those objectives. Note, you do not need to use any exhibit to answer this question requirement 8 marks. So this means that this is a rote learning, a theoretical requirement. You have already studied ISQM1 during the classes. There was a complete technical article on this topic. You have already studied ISQM1, International Standard on Quality Management. The objective of ISQM1 is to develop a system of quality management in the firm, which was called as SOQM. SOQM, a system of quality management in the firm. And in SOQM, there were 8 components, if you remember those 8 components. The first component was risk assessment procedures throughout the firm, governance and leadership requirements. Do you remember? Then ethics requirement, then client acceptance requirements, then resources, engagement performance, information and communication, monitoring and remediation. Those 8 components of system of quality management. Now here, if someone do not remember this ISQM1, you just need to go back, refer the technical article and refer my lecture on ISQM1. See, it happens very rarely that examiner give you a requirement like this, a rote learning requirement, like objectives of an audit firm for system of quality management and how ISQM1 help those to achieve those objectives. And you are not required to use any exhibit. So this means it is just a theoretical and a learning based requirement. Part B. Using Exhibit 1, evaluate the quality management and ethical issues that have arisen in respect of the audit of Pumpkin Group, 12 marks. Now, this is relating to this scenario, and you have to pick up the 12 issues of quality which exist in this scenario. Professional marks will be awarded for the demonstration of skills in analysis and evaluation, professional skepticism and judgment, and commercial acumen in your answer. 5 marks. Okay. So, apparently, if I look at this question, I believe that this question is very easy if a student remembers his article of ISQM1. Okay, if you remember that article, it's an easy question. But if you have forgotten the article, then it will become a problem. Like many students message me, sir, that is it really necessary to do the articles? So I always say that yes. In my lectures, I have covered each and every article provided by the examiner. Like each and every article provided by the examiner on the ACCA's website, every article is covered in the lectures. And obviously, those are important ones. You shouldn't be skipping those. So first of all, discuss the objectives of an audit firm's system of quality management. What is the objective of system of quality management? The objective is that the firm and its personnel means employees, fulfill their responsibilities, which are legal and professional responsibilities. And the engagement partners issue appropriate audit reports. Objective of system of quality management is to make sure is to make sure that a firm and its personnel fulfill their legal and professional while performing responsibilities while performing engagements. Further, engagement partners need to make sure that they issue reports which are appropriate in particular circumstances, like they don't give wrong audit opinions. In order to achieve these objectives, ISQM1 has recommended that every firm should develop a system of quality management, which is tailored to deal with the firm's specific requirements and its client base. Let me repeat it again. See, what you need to understand is that while I'm writing this answer, I'm particularly summarizing the objectives and the targets of ISQM1. And if you have forgotten these, you just need to go to ACCA Global website and go to AAA Technical Articles. Okay, just giving you a guidance. You can go to AAA Technical Articles. Here are all of the articles, and you all know that in my lectures I have covered each and every article. This is ISQM1. You click here, and here you go. All of the requirements of ISQM1, that what is the objective, what is the system of quality management, and then the 8 components of SOQM. So basically, you have to address these. Okay, if you have read this complete article, it would be a very easy question for you guys. Okay, so objective of system of quality management is to make sure that firm and its personnel fulfill their legal and professional responsibilities. It's simply written here to ensure firm and their personnel fulfill their responsibilities in respect of legal and professional standards. Okay, they give the correct report, and for that, ISQM1 says that a system of quality management need to be developed by each of the firm. Now, obviously, you will not write down the complete article. You just need to summarize it, because when you go for your examination, it's 1 mark for every brief point which you write. 1 mark per point. Whenever there is a requirement like this, you just need to make sure that every point you will write, you'll get 1 mark. Okay, so keep it brief and refer each of the issue. System of quality management of every firm need to have 8 components in it. First component of SOQM system of quality management is, now what are these 8 components? Number 1, risk assessment. Number 2, governance and leadership. Number 3, ethical requirements. Number 4, client acceptance. Number 5, engagement performance. Number 6, resources. Number 7, information and communication. And number 8 is monitoring and remediation. Okay, so you need to learn these things. Like, it's very rare that you get such things. Like, you need to have these 8 headings in your mind and a thorough reading of the article. If you have watched my lecture of ISQM1, you must have this concept very clear in your mind. First component of system of quality management is proper risk assessment procedures in the firm. A firm should develop risk assessment procedures which evaluate high risk clients in its client base, and then proper responses are developed in order to deal with those high risk clients. This risk assessment should be done as an ongoing process. Okay, see, here we are not talking about one particular client. The firm as a whole should have a proper risk assessment procedure. If firm has 100 clients, the firm's risk assessment procedures should be able to identify that, okay, these are the 10 clients. These are the 10 audits which we are doing, and they have a very high risk. They have a very high risk. And then the firm level should be allocating proper resources to those high risk clients. Because if in those high risk clients a wrong audit opinion gets expressed, it will create a liability for the firm as a whole. Okay? So, risk assessment procedures of the firm. Second component of SOQM is governance, is responsibilities of governance and leadership of the firm. Okay, top tone of the firm, the top leadership of the firm should make sure that they create a proper environment, a proper environment which gives importance to ethical values and quality standards. Okay, leadership of the firm should not create a commercial environment, a lot of commercial environment in which ethical values get compromised. Okay, proper governance structures of the firm itself should be developed such that an environment of accountability and responsibility exist. Okay, the firm itself, the governance and leadership is responsible. Then ethical values or relevant ethical requirements is also one of the component of SOQM. Firm should develop its own code of ethics also, which should comply with ethical requirements of regulatory and professional bodies. Okay, these ethical values or these ethical requirements should be followed by the firm in all of its engagements. Okay, see, you have to make sure that you keep it brief. Okay, you have to keep it brief that what is SOQM components and how they will help to achieve those objectives. Okay, that risk assessment should be proper governance should exist, proper ethical requirements should exist, and then those should be followed in all of the engagements. So obviously that will enable the firm to achieve the legal and professional responsibilities. Then client acceptance and continuation procedures should be defined. Like client acceptance is for new client, and continuation procedure means that if we are renewing that client for next year audit, those procedures should also be existing, should be defined, so that only those clients are accepted or continued which have acceptable level of risk and acceptable level of ethical values. Okay, if in any client significant ethical issues exist, then those clients should not be accepted. Okay, further, firm should also consider about relevant resources it have while acceptance of clients. This will help firm to make sure that engagements are performed properly. Okay, so when you talk about ISQM1, it is not about one single engagement. It is about developing that system of quality management so that whatever engagement we perform, is done with a proper quality. Risk assessment procedures, governance and leadership, ethical requirements, client acceptance and continuation. Number fifth, resources. Resources evaluation is also one of the factor or is also one of the component of SOQM. Firms should make sure that whatever engagement they are performing appropriate resources, level of resources are allocated to it. This includes proper composition of audit team or engagement of expert wherever required in any particular audit. Like for some audits, we need an expert. For some, like in the question which you have read, just the jewelry issue, you need an expert for that. So wherever we need an expert, those experts are engaged. So proper composition of audit team, engagement of expert wherever required, and availability of any technical softwares required to perform audit in a quality manner. See, what you need to understand is that in order to make sure that the audit is performed properly, you should have proper resources. And resources do not mean audit senior, audit junior, audit partner, audit manager. It's not just like that. Sometimes we need expert for technical valuations. Sometimes we need some technical softwares. Like if the client has some complex accounting software, we need a complex auditing software also to deal with it. Okay. So the objectives, then 8 components of SOQM. We are discussing each of that: risk assessment, governance, ethics, client acceptance, resources. Okay, so 6 are done, 6 marks are done. We have to gain 2 more marks, but from the perspective of SOQM, we have 3 more points still left. Now, once done with the resources, what is the next point of SOQM? Risk assessment, governance and leadership, ethics, client acceptance, looking at the resources. Then comes the engagement performance, that whatever engagement we are performing, those engagements are performed in a proper manner. Now, what do you mean by engagements are performed in a proper manner? Like proper documentation is done for every engagement, proper supervision is done in every engagement, proper reviews are done in every engagement. We have to make sure that the engagements performed are in a proper manner. Okay, engagement performance is also an important component of a firm's SOQM. A firm should make sure that it develops such systems that every particular engagement which is being performed is done with quality, is done with in accordance with quality standards. There should be sufficient reviews and supervision in particular or in every audit engagement performed. Okay, further guidance in relation to particular audit quality is provided in ISQM 2 and ISA 220. Okay, you already have studied the second article in which ISQM 2 and ISA 220 is referred, and in that article it is about the engagement quality. See, you are developing a system of quality management, and when you are developing a system of quality management, you need to make sure that 8 components are present in the firm's quality management function. Okay, information and communication is also part of a firm's SOQM. Firms should have proper communication systems through which policies made by senior management are communicated to all audit team members, and similarly concerns of audit team members are communicated in timely manner to senior management so that appropriate actions can be taken on it. Okay, a firm should have a proper information and communication system. Okay, recording of data should be done in detailed manner so that relevant actions are taken by responsible individuals. Okay, and then the eighth component of SOQM is when we say that you should have proper monitoring and remediation process. You should have proper monitoring and remediation processes, that if in system of quality management there are any deficiencies, the firm should be regularly monitoring it. See, you haven't written out the entire article, but what you have done is that you've summarized each of the point. Like for each of the point you are writing, you are getting 1 mark each. Okay, first you referred to the objective 1 mark, and then from 8 components we have referred 7 components because our question was of 8 marks. The eighth component is monitoring and remediation, that the firm should have a proper system in which this system of quality management is monitored, and wherever the deficiencies are found, proper remediation actions are taken to deal with those deficiencies. Okay, first the objectives, first component was risk assessment, that proper risk assessment should be done throughout all of the clients and make sure that high risk clients are addressed properly. Then the governance and leadership is responsible to make sure that a proper environment of ethical values and quality standard is developed. Relevant ethical requirements are considered, client acceptance factors are considered, resources are available to perform the engagement, engagements are performed in a proper manner, and the firm should have proper information and communication systems. Still, if someone has any concern in this requirement, what I recommend is that you just need to go and read the article. Okay, you just need to go and read this article and watch my lecture of this ISQM1, and believe me, your concept or any issue will get there. But still, if you have any query, you always have my number to connect with me also. Now comes a good requirement, which is a 12 marks requirement, and that's relating to Exhibit 1. This was a very easy one. Like, there are so many ethical issues in this scenario. You just need to pick up those issues and refer those issues, that what are the issues, evaluating the quality management and ethical issues that have arisen in respect of the audit of Pumpkin Group. You just need to refer 12 issues which exist in Exhibit 1. Okay, let's look at it. Okay, so let's read this Exhibit 1 and identify the ethics and quality issues which exist in this audit activity. I wish to bring to your attention some issues that I have experienced while working on the audit of Pumpkin Group as part of a large audit team. I don't feel that the group audit partner, Kinga Edward, is approachable on the matters. And furthermore, some of the issues relate to her behavior during the audit. For your information, Pumpkin Group is a large listed manufacturer with multiple subsidiaries. Let's go in detail of the audit activity, and we'll be able to identify more issues relating to ethics and quality control relating to this audit activity. Turnip Company was a newly acquired subsidiary during the year and operates as a specialist jewelry manufacturer using precious metals and expensive gemstones. The audit team have been using the standardized audit test from an outside service provider which were not customized for any area of Tunip Company's audit, including the high value inventory of precious metals and gemstones. See, use of standardized audit test, that's acceptable as per auditing standards. But those audit tests should be adapted, should be customized according to the client's operation and business. But here it is written that none of them were customized to any area of Turnip Company audit, including the high value inventory of precious metals and gemstone. Now, that is a quality issue. This means that the audit activity which was performed was not related to the client's business and its operations. Okay, let's draft a point relating to it. I want you all to listen to me carefully. Use of standardized audit tests from an outside service provider is an acceptable audit practice if those standardized audit tests are customized or adapted, are customized according to client's business and its operations. Okay, in case of turnip company audit, our firm failed to customize these audit tests according to business of turnip company, like issues relating to its inventory, which include precious metals and gemstones. This creates a concern on quality of audit which has been performed. Okay? See, let me repeat it again. Whenever you are dealing with quality issues question, you just need to pick up every issue and draft it in your own wording. Every point you write, you get 1 mark each. See, it is very easy for me to just discuss the answer and read examiner answer for you guys. But that will never give you an understanding that how you have to actually draft the point. When you go in the examination, you have to draft it on your own. Many times, students have the points in their mind, but they are not able to draft it. Or they spend a lot of time in thinking the drafting approach. See, when it's a point of 1 mark each, you don't have to take stress. Just draft it in your own wording and put up whatever in your mind on the screen and draft it in such a manner that examiner can understand that what you are trying to say. That use of standardized audit tests from an outside service provider is an acceptable practice, like it is done normally. But those should be adapted and customized to the client's business and its operations. Otherwise, the audit activity which you are doing will become unrelated. Okay, so they have failed to customize it to these precious metals and gemstones, which was a wrong thing. During the audit team briefing at the planning stage, the group engagement partner stated that the valuation of inventory was to be treated as low risk across all subsidiaries, consistent with the assessment made in the prior years. Now, here there are two issues. First of all, the audit partner is relying on previous year assessment. See, every year the situation and the scenarios may get changed. The risk assessment should be revised every year. Those areas which were low risk in the previous year may become high risk in the current year. So, first of all, reliance on the prior year risk assessment was not a good approach. And secondly, Turnip Company was a new subsidiary. So, for this specifically, relying on previous year risk assessment was not a good approach. Okay, now, audit partner Kinga Edward relied on previous year risk assessment in relation to audit of inventory. This is a wrong approach, as every year client's business and its environment may have changing circumstances, and therefore risk assessment should be done every year. Reliance on prior year risk assessment solely is not a correct approach. Okay, then in relation to Turnip Company Audit, which is a newly acquired subsidiary, using prior year risk assessment of group structure, of group of Pumpkin Group, if you can refer the name of the group of Pumpkin Group, was not a correct approach. Okay, Turnip Company was not part of group in previous year. Therefore, using risk assessment done on other group companies on this newly acquired subsidiary whose inventory includes high value items is not a right approach. Okay? See, when you are dealing with a question of quality control, you just have to be very much relaxed. Look at the scenario carefully, and whatever issue you identify, just write it down. Okay? Now, this included the inventory of Turnip Company and that there was no need to authorize the expense of using a jewelry valuation expert. See, this was also wrong. The valuation of jewelry is a technical work which cannot be done by the auditors themselves. So for that, an expert need to be engaged, and not authorizing an expense for using an expert was not a right approach. Okay? Now, further, not authorizing expense for using an auditor expert for valuation of jewelry was also a quality control concern in Turnip Company audit. Okay, audit engagement partner must ensure that sufficient resources are available to perform audit. Okay, Turnip Company inventory include high value jewelry items whose valuation cannot be done by normal auditors. For that, an expert should be engaged. Okay, so when it's high value add, you need to engage the expert, since the normal auditors who have the knowledge of IAS and IFRS only cannot do it on their own. Okay, then Kinga Edwards stated that she has been the auditor of the Pumpkin Group for 10 years. How is it possible? Pumpkin Group is a listed entity. After 7 years, the audit partner must have been changed. Okay? As per Kinga Edward, she has been audit engagement partner of Pumpkin Group for 10 years. This is an ethical concern as Pumpkin Group is a listed entity and audit engagement partner must be changed after 7 years maximum. Firms' ethical principles, ethical procedures, and principles need to be evaluated. Like, what are the firm's ethical principles and procedures doing when a same person is doing the audit for more than 7 years? Okay, like it's not a proud feeling that I've been doing audit for 10 years. During the initial audit team briefing, Kinga Edwards stated that she would be too busy to respond to audit queries, that anyone with access to the internet search engine should be able to answer. What a great attitude of the audit partner, that I cannot give you time, so you should search your queries on the internet. Okay, obviously it's not a right attitude from the audit engagement partner. Audit engagement partner Kinga Edward demonstrated wrong attitude to audit team at audit planning meeting, that she cannot give time to audit activity and audit team members should use internet search engines in, in relation to any issues they found. Okay, data available on internet search engines are not legitimate in every case, which may result in wrong audit approach. Further, audit team normally requires assistance of audit partner to take judgments and deal with client in relation to unresolved queries. Okay, like see, you cannot expect the audit team to deal everything on their own. They need audit partner to get the concerns sorted. So if I look at this paragraph of turnip company, believe me, each and every point I have written were very easy ones. Like I expect that a student could have easily done it in the examination. Okay, like using standardized audit test but not customizing it to audit client need, that was an issue. Relying on previous year risk assessment, not doing risk assessment for newly acquired subsidiary, not using an expert for valuation of technical head, doing audit for more than 7 years, saying that I don't have time, use internet search engines. These all were very basic issues. Like a student could have easily identified these. Now, Yam Company. During my work on Yem Company, another of the Pumpkin Group subsidiary, the group engagement partner informed the team that due to time pressure on the audit, they would review the audit working paper on each team member's individual computers. First of all, time pressure is an intimidation threat that affects the quality. And the question is that why this time pressure is being created? Didn't we evaluate the audit properly at the time of acceptance? Okay. In relation to YAM company audit, comment of audit engagement partner that time pressure exists in audit activity indicates or creates an intimidation threat for audit team. Okay, audit team will not be able to perform audit activity with independent and professional skepticism, as they will have time pressure, intimidation in their minds. It need to be considered that why audit deadline was not negotiated properly at the time of engagement acceptance. Like why this time pressure is created. Okay, that's an important issue. And then, as he's saying that he will review the audit working papers on each team member's individual computer. This means that consolidated working papers are not made. See, it is very important that working papers should be consolidated. Why is it important to consolidate the working papers? Because when we form the audit opinion, that is on the entity as a whole, not on the basis of each single working paper. Okay? Further, audit working papers of YAM company audit are not being consolidated, and audit engagement partner has stated that he will review working papers separately on each audit team member's computer. That is a wrong approach, as working papers need to be consolidated, as opinion is formed on client as a whole rather than on each issue separately. Until and unless we will consolidate all of the issues together, we will not be able to form judgment in relation to many things. Like, for example, if the attitude of the management is wrong in one head, you identified it there, then in third head also the attitude is wrong. If you're reviewing everything separately, you will not be able to remember that, okay, overall issues are existing in the audit. Okay, so we need to consolidate the audit working papers rather than reviewing separately. Following completion of the audit senior who had worked on the audit of YAM company left Carrot company and failed to hand in their laptop computer before leaving. No backups of audit working paper were made during the fieldwork owing to internet connection at YAM company premises. Remote access to the employee laptop is disabled as soon as employee leave. Like, what is happening? That audit senior left, he failed to hand in the laptop, the working papers are lost, there is no backup. Like, what you are doing? Even after the completion of the audit, if the regulator will ask you to submit the working paper documents, like you need to be ready for quality control reviews by the regulator. So what you'll say that, oh, one guy took our laptop and we don't have the data? Like, what rubbish you are saying? Okay. Now, lack of proper documentation for YAM company audit is a significant quality control concern. Audit senior left the job and didn't hand over official files of YAM company audit, and then lack of backup indicates that proper documentation procedures are not followed in Carrot Company. Carrot Company is our firm in Carrot and Company. Okay, our firm need to review documentation practices as regular backups and proper recording of audit files is mandatory by law also. Okay, like maybe the regulator can ask you sometime later that, okay, we want to see the old files. So what you will say that we have lost all the files, the audit senior left, and we don't have a backup. Like the regulator will get a lot of annoyed by this response, like what you are doing. Now let's look at this engagement quality review thing. Okay, so engagement quality review. The engagement quality reviewer, Eddie Onion, was appointed after the completion of all audit fieldwork and is relatively a new audit partner. They had previously worked on charity audits. However, Kinga Edwards said Eddie was the ideal candidate for the role of EQR as she had attended audit committee meetings of the Pumpkin Group over the past year. Thank you for taking time to reading this email. Okay. Now again, in relation to engagement quality review, there are multiple concerns. Number one, you are making that new audit partner as engagement quality reviewer. So he will not have the sufficient authority in the firm to question Kinga Edward, who is a more senior audit partner as compared to Eddie. Okay, like the engagement quality reviewer is one who will be identifying mistakes in the work of engagement partner. So he should have been a person with sufficient authority. Secondly, he should have expertise of that particular industry. Now he has only done audits of charity. So apparently he don't have relevant expertise. And this Eddie sitting on the audit committee of Pumpkin Grove, that's a very big issue. How can Eddie become a quality control reviewer when she has been sitting on the audit committee? And obviously, sitting on the audit committee means that she must be taking remunerations from that company. So she's not independent of the client. Okay. Now, over the past year, if she has been sitting, so she hasn't even completed a cooling off period. Like she should have waited for a few years before becoming the part of audit team or the quality control partner. Okay. Now, engagement quality reviewer. Eddie Edward, if I'm not wrong, Eddie Onion, quality control, engagement, quality control reviewer, it do not have or is not sufficiently experienced to perform quality control review of the Pumpkin Group audit, as her experience is normally of charity audits. Engagement Quality Control Reviewer EQR should have sufficient expertise of relevant industry audit so that during review of working papers she can identify mistakes or errors. Okay. Further, Eddie is a relatively new partner of our firm, and engagement partner Kinga Edward is a senior partner as compared to her. Eddie will not be able to question Kinga Edward for concerns in audit activity, as he or as she do not have sufficient authority in the firm to question Kinga Edward due to seniority. See, you should make sure that the engagement quality reviewer should have the sufficient power and he should have sufficient recognition. Okay. Lastly, ID has served on audit committee of the Pumpkin Group in previous year. This creates concern on her independence, as while serving on audit committee, she must be getting paid by the Pumpkin Group. Okay. Now, performing engagement quality review in next year is not an independent approach to engagement quality review. Okay. The engagement quality review partner should be independent of the client. Okay. Like ID has been serving in the previous year as the audit committee member, so she must be getting paid for that. So now you are becoming engagement quality reviewer. Obviously, you are not independent of the client. So if we look at it, it was a 12 marks requirement using Exhibit 1, evaluate the quality management and ethical issues. It was a 12 marks question, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay. I particularly believe that this particular part B requirement, very easy one. Like the issues were just coming out, they were popping out of the scenario. Like standardized audit test not customized for the client, it was a concern. Then using previous year risk assessment, that was not acceptable. You have to perform risk assessment every year. Not looking at the newly acquired subsidiary, that was an issue. Not authorizing expert, performing audit for more than 7 years, asking to use internet search engines. Okay, then time pressure thing, creating intimidation threat, not consolidating working papers, lack of proper documentation, audit senior went and all the documents have been lost. Engagement quality review do not have the experience of the audit of that head. He's doing audit of charities normally. Very new partner, and serving at the audit committee means in the previous year was serving in the audit committee means that he's not an independent person. Okay, so both of the requirements are done, and for professional skill marks analysis, how you analyze the relevant requirements and you relate it to the scenario. Skepticism, questioning the issues, raising the issues wherever possible, taking a judgment that okay, here the quality is getting compromised. And commercial acumen means that having a practical approach. Like, for example, a new partner is practically means that he will not have sufficient expertise to question a senior partner. Now, it's not like that you have to think in every point that how will I get professional skill marks. You answer to your scenario in a proper manner and you get the relevant marks of professional skill also. So first requirement was just rote learning of ISQM1 objectives and the components of SOQM, and the second requirement was relating to the quality management issues in the audit of Pumpkin Crow. I particularly believe that this question was an easy one. Like this was a very easy and a straightforward question, provided that you remember the rules of the ISQM1, the conditions and the characteristics of SOQM, so that you could have attempted the part A. I hope that this session has added value to your preparation. Okay. In the next class, we'll be looking at the third question, which is question number 3, okay, of this June 24 mock. And with that, our discussion on this mock exam paper will be completed. Okay, if you have any query, feel free to contact me on my WhatsApp number. Thank you, everyone.